This is my Conway's Game of Life in a handheld Nintendo S Game & Watch version. It's got 3 different menus. You can do a random game. You can change the speed on the random game. You can reset the screen. Just go a bit faster. Which is pretty cool, hey? You can also go back to the main menu. We'll go to preset patterns. And I've got 5 preset patterns loaded. Literally, you could load as many as you want, but I've only got 5 so far. So we've got a coast ship. Get that going fast. Which is a really cool pattern. You can see there's a ship blowing out some smoke at the back, which is really cool. We've got Gosper Glider. We've got the classic diamond, which is also a very cool little pattern. We've got, let's go here. This is another ship, which I thought looked pretty cool as well. We've also got a custom game, so you can build your own patterns and implement them. Get going fast. And it'll tell you how many generations and how many max cells, which is cool as well. The same, that will happen for the random game too once the game's finished. So, why did I build this? Well, I've been wanting to build something like this for a really, really long time. I just didn't have the skill nor the knowledge of coding to build this. So recently I've been diving into coding. I know nothing about coding, but I managed to code this up. And I got inspired by this from reading this book like 10 years ago. And it's got a lot to do with the Game of Life in it, from Conway's Game of Life. And obviously pictures don't really give you a good feel for it. So I jumped on the net way back when and started playing around with it. And I thought, man, I'd love a version of Game of Life I can keep in my pocket. And here it is. So we're going to make one today. And I'm going to show you how to put one together. It's really simple. The code is already done, but I want this to be collaborative. If you haven't done coding before, then I really strongly suggest just jump on Arduino AI, play around with it. And yeah, it's intuitive. You don't need to know anything about coding to put something like this together. But I'd love to see what other ideas we could add to this and what other functions. There's other versions of Conway's Game of Life. I think that would be cool to add. There's more patterns we could add, maybe a zoom effect, a load effect. We can save patterns. So there's plenty of things we could add. I'm using like 12% of the memory in the trinket. The trinket is the little microprocessor in there that I'm using. So I'm only using 12% of the memory. So plenty of room to add more things. So let's go and build one. This was my breadboard prototype that I put together just so I can, I guess, work out the bugs. It works fine, obviously, because this is what I base the PCB off. PCBs here. You'll notice that there's some SMD pads here for the switches. In my first initial build of this, I was finding my fingers were touching the back of the switch legs and it was interfering with the game, so I had to make them SMD switches, which is fine. Same with the 5 voltage out and charger. That's the front, and you can see that lines up perfectly. So the first thing we'll do is actually add the screen to the front panel. You'll notice that the pins on this header pin stick up. We actually want them to be as flat as possible, because if they're not, when they go against the board, you can see the board's going to interfere with those pins. So I'm going to heat each one up and then push it down with my soldering iron. And we'll try and get them as flat as possible. I'm just going to, I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll try and get this hot enough that I can, oh yeah, that works okay. Cool. Right, so we've got that pretty flush. Just a little bit of solder on the sides, I'll clean that up. And the next thing we've got to do is just to remove this A little bit of plastic that holds the pins together. Oh, there we go. Okay, we've got that off. It's that little spacer bit of plastic, and we will trim the legs a little later. We've got some 2M screws. These are 16mm long and we need 6 of these. We'll add 4 of these in, and then we'll just put a little nut just to secure the screen in place. The screen's now in place. I've added these little nuts to those screws. It's pretty straight. Now what we got to do is add some spacers to each of these. So I've got these little 2M spacers, and we want the smallest one here. Not sure how big they are. Let's find out. Six mil. Now we can add the 2 bottom screws. So stick one in there, and then I've got a 8mm spacer, which you can see is around the same size, and the bolts on there as well, the nuts, sorry. And we add 2 of those into place. All the legs have been added with the spacers, and now it's time to just do a test fit to the back of the PCB. It's weird, like even though the holes line up perfectly, I find that this can be a bit challenging sometimes. Oh no, it fits pretty well. And then you can see the legs coming through here as well. We will start with the switches, just so I can do it on a flat surface. Here they are, 6 of them in total, and they're 11mm high. So let's add one first. The first one is we need to put the up and down on first. If you don't, it's going to get really tricky to add solder to these solder points here. And then line up your switch so the leg is touching the pad, and mount it into place. You can check then to make sure that it's straight. It just needs to be pushed across a bit more, and that looks pretty good. So now I can solder that into place. I'll get the down button on after that, and I'll do the rest. The button feel nice. Take this off. I'm going to clean this up, and then we'll move on to the charging and voltage regulator module. This is the charging module for the battery, as well as the buck booster. So there's a little potentiometer there. You can turn that to change the voltage out, which is cool. You have to get exactly 5 volts, and that's really important for the switches to be able to be used correctly. Okay, now we're, oh, right. What we're going to do first, I shouldn't have glued it down. It doesn't matter, but what we need to do is ensure there's 5 volts exactly coming out here. Let's just measure the voltage and see what it comes out at. It's going to be negative, but that's cool because it's got these around 5.869. So we're going to get a little screwdriver. What I should do is, it's a little tricky. There's a lot going on. 5.87. I'm just going to we want to get close as possible to 5 volts as we can. Damn, that is good. Yes. Okay, great. So I'll just unhook this. Cool. Good connection. Strong. Strong like bull. It's not going to go anywhere. And then you can charge up your battery. And resistors are in. Now we'll get the, let's get the micro switch in. There's the switch we're going to add. Cool. So we can actually test now via this 5 volt to see if the trinket's coming on. Let's do that. Let's do this. There. Cool. We've got power. Oh, it won't turn off because it's direct power, so that's fine. Okay, I've got a whole bunch here. We use something like this, for example. Oh, yeah, we could use that one. That's actually would work fine. Yeah, that's pretty good. Just quickly. All right, battery seems to be charging fine. I've trimmed the legs, those resistor wires, and we'll solder that into place there. All right, we've got the screen soldered into place. This is the big test to see if it's actually going to turn on. All right, we've got some life. Excuse the pun. Now the buttons won't work. It's because I've changed some of the values. It was interesting. So on my breadboard, the thresholds were different to when I created the PCB for the values of the buttons. So I've updated those, and I'll update the code on that trinket, and it should work. But yeah, we're good to go. Okay, so I've trimmed them all, and I used a little file just to remove the burrs and rough edges. I've got to show as well, I've got the rules in the back here of the game. I'm filming my screen. Yes, I know, it's probably not the best way to do it, but let's upload the code. Successful. Boom. And buttons work. Fantastic. We're ready to go. If you're interested in building your very own handheld game of life, then check out the description in this video where I provided a link to my GitHub page where you can download all the files needed to build your own. That includes the Gerber files for the front and PCB, along with the code and a bunch of other interesting information that you might find helpful. If you do have some ideas on how we can extend this and make it better, then drop some ideas in the comment of this video. That'd be cool to see what ideas everyone's got. And if you feel like collaborating, then just hit me up and I can make you a collaborator on my GitHub page, and we can work on extending and making this even better. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.